Update. Am I overreacting? My sister told me she was thinking about what it would feel to punch me in my pregnant belly. Now me and my husband are thinking about not letting her have a relationship with our child. Original post. My husband, 31 male, and I, 30 female, are currently 7 months pregnant. We decided to have our baby shower in our hometown so that our family and friends could attend. We arrived 5 days before the shower to spend some time with our families. We usually stay at my parents' house, which includes my parents and my sister, 28 female. Our families hadn't seen me in about 6 months, and this would be the first time they saw my pregnant belly. The first day we arrived, my parents were joyful and excited to spend time with us and finally see me pregnant. Later that night, my sister came home after being out with friends, and as soon as she saw me, she looked disgusted. She slowly walked toward me with a disgusted expression and said, "OMG, I can't believe you look like that." She said hello and then deadpan told me that on the drive home, she had been thinking about what it would feel like to punch me in the belly. There was no chuckle or indication that it was a joke. I was in shock and immediately felt unsafe, but I tried not to show my reaction for my parents' sake. I stood there for a few minutes while she poked my stomach, still looking disgusted. I felt incredibly uncomfortable and on guard. I eventually excused myself, saying I was going to bed. Over the next few days leading up to the shower, I avoided her and told my husband and parents what had happened. My parents had overheard a conversation but hadn't fully grasped what she said. They were all concerned, and my mom spoke to a friend who is a therapist. The therapist friend told my mom that what my sister said was extremely concerning and needed to be addressed. When my parents confronted her, my sister blamed her anxiety and depression, saying that my husband and I have everything, and now that we're having a baby, she feels like she has nothing to live for. She admitted that all she does is go to work and sleep. For some background, my sister has been in therapy and on medication for depression and anxiety for about 10 years. She has been extremely rude and self-centered her entire life. This isn't the first time she's mentioned having suicidal thoughts. During my college years, when I moved out of my parents' house, she blamed her depression on me, leaving her behind, and even threatened my parents with self-harming comments. Over the years, she has made my parents feel like I need to be responsible for her mental health and happiness. It come across to me and other family members as if she manipulates my parents into doing everything for her because of her depression. After the baby shower and some long conversations, my husband and I are trying to unpack everything. We are considering not allowing her to have any contact with our daughter once she's born. We don't think she would even want to make an effort to build a relationship with our child anyway. Are we overreacting? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not at all. Honestly, maybe underreacting, because I would have gone no to low contact with her given the history. She's grown, and not your responsibility. Never let her around your kid. Yeah, it's the history and context which makes it. This isn't an OMG, what a horrific intrusive thought. Aren't brains weird? It's a disturbing, at best attention-seeking, at worst very dangerous comment. Exactly. If it was an intrusive thought, she probably wouldn't have said it out loud. I have horrific intrusive thoughts, and I keep them to myself. You're not overreacting at all. Your sister is definitely blaming you for her own unhappy life, blaming her depression for her struggles, and manipulating your parents into not holding her accountable. It's a toxic situation, and even if she hadn't made those threatening comments about harming you and your unborn baby, I would still advise keeping your distance from her. Considering that she has made threatening statements toward you and your baby, it's absolutely essential to stay away from her and ensure she has no contact with your child. I'm glad your parents took the situation seriously, but they should also be encouraging her to move out and take responsibility for her life. Otherwise, it might be difficult for you to feel safe and at peace when staying at your parents' house. It's possible that she doesn't actually intend to harm you, but the fact that she feels comfortable making unsettling and threatening comments and then blames it on her depression is a red flag. Given that she's been in therapy and on medication for 10 years without significant improvement, it suggests she may not be genuinely committed to changing her life or letting go of her jealousy towards you. Keeping a safe distance is the best course of action for you and your family. Update. So I definitely think I underreacted and have been desensitized to her nasty comments, manipulative actions, rude behavior, and just overall attitude. To those who suggested I should have done more in the moment, you're probably right. However, it's easy to see that in hindsight, or when you're reading about it from behind a screen and imagining what you would have done. It's a completely different experience when it's actually happening to you in real time. For those pointing out that my parents are cuddling her, I agree. However, I think most parents would try to prevent their child from harming themselves if they were being told their child is suicidal. That said, I do agree that my parents need therapy to learn how to better handle her behavior. My sister is an adult, so they can't just reach out to her therapist. Her therapy sessions are virtual, and they don't have any contact information for the therapist. As for those wondering about her diagnosis, all I know is that she has anxiety and depression. My husband and I have speculated about possible narcissistic traits or a personality disorder like borderline, but we don't think she's been diagnosed with anything beyond anxiety and depression, and if she hasn't shared that information with us. Therapy is only as effective as what you put into it, and we have no way of knowing what she actually shares with her therapist. Some suggestions in the comments didn't seem to consider that she is an adult, and we can't force certain actions. To those suggesting a psychological evaluation, how would one go about arranging that without involving the police or forcing her into involuntary hospitalization? Is there a less dramatic way to request a psych evaluation, assuming she would even agree to it? Regarding the idea of my parents kicking her out, that's not going to happen. If she were to harm herself, they would feel completely responsible, as any parent likely would. So whether or not she's manipulating everyone, no one is willing to take that risk with their own child. I'd also like to mention that even before this incident, my husband and I had already decided that we would never allow her to watch our child or be responsible for any aspect of their care. We both agreed that she probably wouldn't want to, and we wouldn't feel comfortable with it. We also decided not to stay at my parents' house when we visit after the baby is born, as it would be uncomfortable due to the lack of space. For those worried about my safety, the baby shower is now over and we are safely back home, far away from her. There's no chance of her being around me right now. Thank you to everyone who sent well wishes. Your thoughts are appreciated. Well, you won't ever be able to leave your child alone with the grandparents then, as they would most definitely allow her time probably unsupervised with a child. They're so naive they wouldn't think of it, and your child would be in danger. I'd go low contact on them until the child is about 15. I don't trust any of them. Set another boundary. Tell your parents you won't be bringing the baby to their home when she is there. They can come visit you at the hotel or at your home. Your sister is toxic and a potential danger. She doesn't deserve to be around you guys, and you don't deserve her abuse. Your parents have chosen to cuddle her. That's their life, not yours. You don't need to expose your child to their abusive aunt, who most certainly will be abusive around and most likely to the baby at some point. The baby doesn't need to see their parents being mistreated. Don't allow that. Stay away from her. When I was pregnant, I was young and living at home. My brother grabbed me by the throat and threatened to punch me in my belly. I moved in with my ex the next day and went no contact. I think I saw him twice after that. At a wedding and at Christmas, I sucked it up. My daughter was like 10 by then. He died about 15 years ago of a condition, so I have no regrets. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to help my brother-in-law pay for a vacation after he's repeatedly called me a gold digger? I, 30 female, have been married to my husband, 32 male, for 5 years. We both work hard and are financially comfortable. While my husband does earn more than I do, we've always considered it our money. We're a team and share responsibilities equally. The problem is my brother-in-law, 34 male. For years, he has made jokes about me being a gold digger because my husband earns more. He does this in front of others, and even though I usually just laughed it off to avoid causing a scene, it really bothers me. I've always worked, contributed to our household, and it's frustrating to have my efforts dismissed as if I'm just living off my husband. Recently, my brother-in-law and his wife asked us to help cover their portion of a family vacation because they couldn't afford it. My husband and I discussed it, and while we could help, I didn't feel comfortable doing so after all the times he's disrespected me. When I refused, my brother-in-law tried to brush it off, saying I was overreacting and that his comments were just harmless jokes. Now he's upset, and my in-laws are saying I'm making a big deal out of nothing, and that family helps family. My husband supports my decision, but I can't help second-guessing myself. Am I the a-hole for refusing to help because of how my brother-in-law has been treating me? Not the a-hole. It blows my mind how often people get called out on their BS and fail to properly apologize. Brother-in-law could very easily have said something like, "I'm sorry, you are rightly calling me out on this item as I see how my asking for money after teasing you about being a gold digger comes off very badly. I thought I was joking, but it is clear now that my comments were hurtful and were not actually funny. I am sorry for that and won't make those comments in the future." Perhaps if he had done that, you might have reconsidered. But instead, he told you the jokes were harmless, likely said you were overreacting, and then got your in-laws involved. Poor choice. I think some people fail to develop at a certain age, and their brain just thinks like a child's one. Interesting that he is calling them harmless jokes, because they seem to have harmed his ability to go on this family trip. Not a-hole. I wouldn't give them a dime, much less for a non-essential vacation. Have a sit down with your husband. He needs to be defending you when his brother denigrates you at family events. My husband is very protective when it comes to me, and is definitely not shy when it comes at defending me in front of my family. I know he clearly doesn't believe the stupid jokes his brother is telling, but it just hurts to hear them. You can help him and destroy him with similar jokes that he can't even pay for his wife. I thought about doing that, haha. But then a thought kicked in that I am not like him, nor do I want to be like him, so that's why I didn't do it. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my sister wear white to my wedding and kicking her out when she showed up in it? I, 27 female, got married 2 weeks ago, and what was supposed to be the happiest day of my life was disrupted by my sister, 31 female. We've never been close, and she has always tried to one-up me at family events. I was hoping she'd behave at my wedding, but she decided to test me in the worst way. Months ago, I sent out the dress code and made it very clear. No one was allowed to wear white, except for me. It was non-negotiable. When I told my sister about this, she gave me attitude, saying I was being insecure and that no one cares about tradition anymore. I told her she didn't have to agree with me, but she needed to respect my wishes. On the morning of the wedding, she showed up in a floor-length, lace white dress that looked like a bridal gown. My heart sank, and I asked her what she was thinking. She brushed it off, saying, "It's not that white, and besides, no one will care." I told her that if she didn't change, she wouldn't be allowed to attend. She threw a fit, accusing me of ruining her day and stormed off, calling me a bridezilla. Some family members suggested I let it slide because she's just like that, but I had enough. I informed the staff not to let her back in unless she changed. She never returned, and now she's telling everyone that I've ruined our relationship for good. My parents are upset, saying I should have ignored it because it's only a dress. But I feel like she intentionally tried to sabotage my special day. My husband supports my decision, but some family members are still angry. So am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your sister disrespected your clear dress instructions and showed up in a white gown almost identical to a wedding dress. She was trying to steal the spotlight at your wedding. You were right to uphold your boundaries and not let her ruin your day. Ignore the family members who say you should have just let it slide. This was your special day, and she didn't care. She had every chance to wear literally anything else, but she chose that dress on purpose. Letting it slide would have just given her permission to pull stunts like this at every major event. Some people need to learn the hard way that actions have consequences. Is your sister the golden child? Just because no one else in the family holds her behavior to account and have thus enabled her behavior doesn't mean that you have to. Wearing white to a wedding is incredibly disrespectful. I'd consider going low contact with your sister and all her flying monkeys and enjoy your new married life. Congrats, by the way. Your sister sounds like a total drama queen. If she can't respect a simple dress code, then she doesn't deserve to be at your wedding. You did the right thing by kicking her out. It's your day, and you get to decide the rules. I refuse to let her drama overshadow one of the happiest moments of my life. I didn't ask for much, just a little consideration. If she can't handle that, then she can miss out. Last story. Am I the a-hole for wanting to leave my husband after finding out he's secretly dating our babysitter and got her fired? I, 30 female, have been married to my husband, 33 male, for 6 years, and we have a 2-year-old daughter. For almost a year, we had a babysitter, Anna, 22 female, whom we hired through an agency. Anna was truly great with our daughter, always full of energy, patient, and very responsible. She blended so well with our family that it almost felt like she was a part of it. My daughter loves her. However, a few weeks ago, I started noticing something unusual between Anna and my husband. They were texting each other frequently, and it wasn't just about our daughter or her schedule. They were exchanging jokes and chatting about random things. When I asked my husband about it, he dismissed it as small talk. I felt a bit silly for even bringing it up, so I let it go. Last week, I came home from work earlier than expected. When I walked in, I saw my husband and Anna sitting very close together on a couch, whispering. They both jumped up and acted awkwardly the moment they saw me. I was stunned and didn't know how to react. Later that night, I confronted my husband. And after a lot of back and forth, he finally admitted that he had been seeing Anna for the past couple of weeks. He insists that nothing physical happened. But regardless, I see this as a significant betrayal. Whether or not it was physical, he crossed a major line. To make matters worse, when I decided to report Anna to the agency for unprofessional behavior, I found out that my husband had already called them earlier that day. He had made up a false story about her being unreliable and had her fired from the agency. He claims that he did this to protect us because the situation was getting complicated. But I believe he was just trying to cover his tracks. Now I'm considering ending our marriage. I feel deeply betrayed by both my husband and Anna, 2 people I trusted around my daughter. However, my husband insists that I am overreacting and says I would be throwing away our family if I left him over what he calls a misunderstanding. I'm at a loss for what to do. Am I wrong for wanting to leave him after this? Is the situation really as bad as it seems, or am I overreacting? Not the a-hole. Massive betrayal on his side. He is an a-hole. I know he is the a-hole. I can't believe he dated our babysitter. Not a-hole. You did report the real reason though, right? Yes, I did. Good. They deserve to know what really happened. You did the right thing.